meat from the supermarket that is, a lot of it is poisoned as well. They feed these animals antibiotics and just crap. So that is something that we need to think about as a society, how we can make it more efficient at the same time as making it so that these animals don't get fed poison, because that just ends up in the human body as well. So I'm not making an argument for veganism. We need to find different solutions, but also comparing stuff like Beyond Meat to a well-raised steak, for example, would be a false equivalence, because you could compare Beyond Meat to something like chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets are unhealthy for you as well. I believe it is possible to live on a vegan diet if you don't have any prior problems. For example, I had to stop because I have severe gut problems, which was not caused by veganism though. But it is very, very difficult to live a sustainable lifestyle on a vegan diet, and we are quite sure that it's not meant for humans to be the diet that we should be eating. The problem is that a lot of nutrition science we clearly just don't understand, because it's not just about the nutrients that you can actually track, but it's also about how bioavailable are these nutrients. And if you have to take a bunch of supplements, like B12 is a requirement as a supplement on a vegan diet, or you just get it from foods that have been supplemented with B12, it's just not the natural way that we should absorb our food. And I think that long term it can come with a lot of problems. And one of the biggest problems, obviously, is vegan parents who feed their children, even toddlers, vegan diets. I think that's cruel, honestly, because it requires so much nutritional education, which a lot of people just don't have. And then subjecting your children to that is, it's cruel. And everything comes in a package in animal products, especially if you eat stuff like eggs and shellfish and organ meats. Those already, so much nutrition is already encapsulated in those products. So it's just easily bioavailable, and you don't have to go like a million extra steps. I don't want to waste my life thinking about food and how I can micromanage every nutrient all the time, because in the end it's not going to work anyway unless you combine foods accurately. For example, there's like protein combining so that you get a full profile of amino acids. Sorry that I went on a ramble. I just find it very interesting.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, one thing though, on the end of property, let's say, just area consumed, the idea of saying that the population of Earth is so expanded that we do not have enough area, landmass available for farming, I think is incorrect. Actually, one of the bigger problems is the way that sometimes farmland is even rezoned, but that's another discussion for another day. It goes into a very strange rabbit hole. But realistically speaking, you look at something like the desert. Take Egypt as an example. You see this green thing from space where the Nile is. You think, oh, I didn't know there's forest. There isn't. That is all farmland. They basically turned this entire area all into farmland. And I think you can do the same thing in the form of grasslands, perhaps even, and that for cows, because that would be the best way for them to live. Now, for mass farming, mass farming is often confused with something where you basically just try to somehow put everything into the smallest space as possible, where you just basically cage up these animals, you put them there, and then you feed them all kinds of stuff, and they get diseases, and you have to, of course, feed them medication such that they can, rid these animals of said diseases so they can live just long enough for them to then be butchered, right? So the problem of mass, like land mass itself, I don't think that's an argument that needs to be considered at all. Perhaps needs to be considered when it comes to developing specific areas of the land. I mean, look at the U.S., for instance. That this is a place that has an insanely large population, yet a lot of the land mass is not used. I mean, this becomes increasingly evident whenever you consider that, like I say, imagine you have the election, right? And you have certain states that are being, tallied. They have different values assigned to them based on the mass of the population. And you actually see that a lot of states don't have that much of a population, even though they have huge mass Like there's a lot of areas, a lot of land masses not being exploited, and there are various many reasons for that. You have sometimes mountains that cause a bit of a rain shadow. That's an issue which has been a barrier for agriculture. But realistically speaking, there's a lot of land, and in general, most of the land on Earth is not in fact used. Even in places where civilization has expanded greatly, there's still a lot of places which remain untouched. And some places I think should remain untouched, of course, because there are, things such as water sources there that need to be, kept pristine. But realistically, I think some areas can definitely and should be exploited to scale farming. Farming just for vegetables, of course, as well, but also farmland in the sense that you can create greenery for livestock.
I absolutely agree with you, which means we're just being led to the conclusion that we don't just need a Department of Government Efficiency, we need basically subsection of Department of Agricultural Efficiency as well. Or we can maybe just put all the cows on Mars, and then we do the farming on Mars, and then we deliver the products back to Earth.
Exactly. That could also be, but for the moment, I think scaling here is actually not as bad. Scaling here is not as bad as people think. And I think largely these fears come through people that themselves have no understanding as to how the world actually works, and that they haven't really done much exploring. They've lived their lives in a concrete jungle and then vote on policies with that in mind. If you yourself have lived in a city for all of your life, you will assume that the rest of the planet is probably as overpopulated as the city in which you live. And that is a very accurate assessment for you, because that's what your reality looks like. But have you ever considered how it is possible that you have wildlife documentaries and there are places where basically access is so difficult that tourism is not even possible? That would kind of indicate that the reach of humans in terms of infrastructure is not as extensive as people would think. And if that is in fact true, then maybe we aren't as impactful on the planet by area of control as people would imagine, right? So it's kind of a funny thing. It usually comes from the environmentalists. I've always read this, even I grew up with reading various types of materials. At first it would be more what I'd like to call legacy-based, which is somewhat more modernized education, which of course then I discarded all of it, because at that point I finally then discovered older books which were much, much more helpful and actually contained a lot more accurate information. A lot of modern knowledge when it comes to geography is complete bullshit. You have to basically take stuff that is either early 2000s or late 60s-ish. Yeah, those are great. Anything within that range is relatively accurate. Not all of it, but relatively accurate. Something before that is just besides the accurate. But how best to explain this? The argumentation that we take apart rainforests to create farming is only true in that some of it is logged, but even the logging of that doesn't impact the world as much as people would think either. And so I think that's what gives farming a bad name. For instance, I don't think the world needs palm oil. Nobody needs that bullshit. This is a very terrible substance for the body to consume, and yet it is being farmed in rainforests and in places where massive illegal logging has taken place at some point. Right? This also gives wood a bad name. So you have these organizations such as FSC that then certify timber, and then people trust in the certification, even though the certification itself and the practices that they have, I would even be very critical of as well, and I have personal experience that would back that up. And that, say for instance, they have these standards where if you do logging, technically what you should do is say, okay, so imagine you have a farm. Imagine, not a farm, you have a plantation, a tree plantation, and you planted, say, something more useful like mahogany. If you wanted to log that, you have to log it individually and selectively. And that you can basically log the trees. What they want you to do is basically log it in areas. So everything in an area, like a square, would be just flattened. That's suicide. You're destroying an ecosystem that has been created over, say, 10 or 15 years, or however long that those trees took to grow. So you're then saying, oh, hey, this area, we're going to just flatten it. That's horrible. That is a remarkably uneducated approach to the concept as to how nature works. That's not how it works. You have to individually take a few trees out of there, take them out, replant them, and once those replanted trees are adult, you take out the ones that you left behind, and then repeat the cycle ad infinitum. It actually works, and you'd have better construction materials because people think, oh, you don't really need wood. Yeah, you do. Lots of your houses are actually made out of that stuff. Like, what do you think like in America, for instance, a lot of houses, what do you think the basic structure is made out of? It's made out of wood. Specifically pine, which is a horrible, horrible type of wood. It is very soft, which is great if you wanted to shape it or if you wanted to nail things into it. It's very easy. But that's what also makes the house cave in. Now, of course, people would say, oh, you need it to be soft so it's flexible. That is actually true. However, the mahogany itself, for instance, is very similar in that. It's actually a bit more stable, which is great. So it doesn't fuck up as much as pine does in the same way that pine usually does. Right? It also has more natural resistances, so you don't need to treat it with all these chemicals that then leach out into the ground, poisoning the area. And people say that's not true, and I'm like, my dude, you have not seen the factories, have you? I've actually been there. I've actually seen what this is like. I know what the treatment process is. I know what they inundate the timber with so that the insects don't attack it. And I know that the stuff that the timber is being inundated with comes out of the timber and then kills what's around it. Not as much as people would think, but it definitely has an impact, and there's no way you can deny that. So, to cut the whole thing short, I can't just explain the whole thing. A lot of the perception around how agriculture works and how nature works in general, I think, is very, very flawed. Very flawed. And areas like one of those, there's a lot of land on this planet that can be developed and should be developed. And I think there's fears that people have put into their minds that land should not be developed is completely wrong. It depends on how you develop it, of course. You probably shouldn't have a power plant somewhere, and then that uses water to cool one of its systems, and then that water itself, something leaches into it, is just put back into the river, and now is polluting everything. That is a problem. I think we can all agree on that being a problem. But that's the exception, it's not the rule. That's an exception. That doesn't often happen, and if it does happen, it should stop, obviously. We have means by which we can stop that from happening, not by, say, destroying a thing we're not destroying the thing, but better managing the pollution that could come out of it. Right? Look at nuclear power plants. They're a great example of this. They're amazing things. Nuclear power plants are absolutely incredible. People don't understand how good these things are. There is not much wrong with them. Even though on a waste perspective, the modern ones practically don't generate any waste that is of any concern. So to say development itself, which is where the landmass argument comes into play, is somehow bad for the planet, I think is completely bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Our Vice Chancellor Robert Habeck in Germany would vehemently disagree with you, though, because he took down all the nuclear power plants in Germany. Very smart decision, as he is both basically the hero of anti-climate change agenda. He's from the Green Party, and he's also our federal minister for economic affairs, meaning he messed up in both fields. It's terrible for the economy, and it's terrible for whatever his climate agenda is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what does he know of nuclear power? And also, doesn't he think it's kind of risky to take your energy independence and throw it out of the window? I mean, you're now energy dependent. Who are you going to be dependent on? I mean, they do know where their fuel comes from, right?
I'll tell you what his idea is. He even admitted that currently, in November, the wind is not very strong in Germany, and that's kind of problematic because that means the windmills aren't as active as they could be with more wind. So his suggestion is just invest more in windmills. We need more windmills. I don't know what the reasoning is exactly, how that's going to produce more wind, but just more investments in windmills will help us generate more energy. Sustainable energy, renewable, because renewable energy is a real term apparently.
Yeah, wind sucks. I fucking hate it. It's such a stupid fucking way to generate energy. It's the worst.
Yeah, wind is by far the worst of the renewable energies.
It's
kills the
expensive as
fucking
shit,
birds.
and it causes
Not
damage
reliable.
in the environment.
Yeah, it kills
And
the
it's not the
fucking
birds.
birds.
It's not even the
Yeah.
birds that I care about. It's like you basically take this area and you make it unsuitable for people to live in this area because it just drives you insane. The way that the blades move, the sound that it creates, the vibrations even that it creates, literally makes you insane. If you don't believe me, go there.
Also, the actual fucking what do you call it? The hands. What do you call those?
The what?
The blades.
The things that the blades. The blades are not reusable. Once they're fucked, you basically have to dispose of them.
They cost like millions each as well,
Yeah.
which is even worse. And there isn't always wind. And if there is more wind than normal, then the whole thing just basically explodes. Have you ever seen one?
Really?
Have you ever seen a windmill explode before?
Nope.
It's actually kind of funny. I mean, funny is relative. It's a lot of damage, but basically, what happens if it reaches a certain point, the physical, the strength of the blades itself, it reaches a tipping point, and it just basically turns into a powder. It just explodes, it disintegrates.
Plus, you need backup systems if you're going to use windmills, just in case the wind dies down and stuff like that. So it's using like quite a bit of fossil fuels just for that. Those systems.
Not
Correct.
to mention, without batteries, you pretty much can't just rely on renewable energy for it either, because it's not consistent.
I mean, technically speaking, everything is a battery. If you look at, say, something such as just hydrocarbons themselves, they actually kind of act as a battery. It's just a battery that you can kind of ship somewhere and actually consume, sort of, right? Because it turns into CO2 gas. It's like, yeah. Everything's battery.
The only things that kind of make sense to me are water, nuclear, and the solar, and maybe a bit of gas and oil, but just like if you're making that sort of transition, then you would still kind of need it.
Even if you don't consume it for energy, oil is still going to be a major factor. I mean, a lot of the components and technology that we use today has plastics in it, and that comes from oil. Like, to descale and to say we don't need oil at all is completely false. That is also not really a mission that should be pursued, which is also kind of ironic because you have these weird morons that are called the Stop Oil movements that just basically stand around in a bunch of clothes that are, made out of plastics and such. I'm like, stop oil. Why don't you stop yourself?
Just stop oil. Let's fucking paint the Stonehenge like that's gonna do anything.
Yeah, let's go slow down traffic and make the people in the cars wait some more in traffic so that they consume more of the oil that it is that we're trying to stop.
I will say though, ever since that guy in Panama shot one, it has slowed down quite a bit.
Well, of course, because they're fucking pussies. They're cowards. The slightest show of a threat, especially a threat like that, and they will just quiver and fold. These are people that are extremely unproductive in society, so they're looking for meaning in some way, yet they are not capable of attaining meaning in the way that many of us can attain and should attain. So they said, hey, we're going to disrupt the economy. We're going to disrupt this. We're actually going to think that this is something good that we're doing, even though it's not, and then just keep running with that. And then, of course, you provide the slightest amount of pressure, and instantly the whole thing crumbles. What a fucking joke.
Yeah, we need a counter group like just stop oil.
And then they're
That
like,
is
lead
indeed
these
the problem,
events.
though. With most of these woke liberals, they just can't find a purpose in life, and they are desperately looking for some kind of orientation because they don't have any other problems. So they need to change their agenda and then come out as some unicorn, because then they get validation from their own group. But they will never actually find the satisfaction that they are truly desiring. So it's like a quick fix, instant gratification kind of drug. But it just, it manifests their mental illness, and it just accelerates the progress of this mental illness, which just turns them into weak victims who don't have a chance in the long term against us, which sounds like a threat, but I don't mean it as a threat. I mean it more as like they are the ones who are allegedly pushing progress, but they're doing exactly the opposite. The entire woke movement is just based on the inversion of truth, and they are enforcing regression on the world because they see humans as parasites. It's an extinctionist movement, and the only way that we can achieve true progress is by humans being innovative. So yeah, stop getting in the way of people like Elon Musk.
Exactly.
I mean, the funniest outcome, well, not really funny, but it's kind of hilarious in hindsight if you were to really think about it, is you have these climate movements, right? And you have activists that get together and then say, hey, you know this place where products are being produced that accelerate the transition to sustainable energy? Yeah. You know the big thing there, the big building? Yeah, the thing that's a gigafactory? Yeah. Yeah, let's go there and burn it. Let's go burn the power supply. I mean, that is a remarkable display of stupidity. Like, wow.
You see that? Let's shut down the fucking nuclear power plants. Let's not build anymore.
Meanwhile, all of the energy now runs off of coal or gas from Russia.
Or what you see in California now, right? Where despite the fact that Tesla is the only company that produces cars in California, they decided they're gonna exclude Tesla from our fucking EV credit.
Yeah, saw that. So
Let's give it to fucking companies that produce it in Mexico and other states instead.
Oh yeah, that's because they're all unionized, right? Because they want to favor the unions, which basically do very little for you. In hindsight, like, unions do work in some areas, but I think largely the purpose of a union has somewhat vanished. If they say, for instance, is a problem in a particular place, there's an exploitation of workers, and you get to prove that somehow. Now there's legal process that you can explore. I mean, hey, if you have something and it's not illegal, it doesn't, put you in the shit if you did this, and you have with an employer actually exploiting people, you can actually post about it on social media here on X, for instance. You won't get censored, and that would actually allow people to see, oh, hey, this person over here, they don't pay for overtime, and they're exploiting everybody over there, and oh, yeah, this guy over there is trying to sexually assault these people, oh, fuck, post about it, right?
The unions have completely destroyed U.S. Steel, and they've completely destroyed the fucking ports in the U.S. If you look at U.S. Steel, it's like years behind all the other competition.
They're fancy extortionists, that's what I like to call them. They're fancy extortionists, and I'll tell you that anyhow. Hey, the business that's dying, you're not making enough money. You have to still pay us more money, though, because we live in an age where we still need money. And of course, hey, because we're not producing enough products, because nobody wants our shit anymore, we have to actually lower the salaries for people or let people go. Nope, that's not happening. We need to get everything to go back up again. We need to make sure that this company goes broke and gets bailed out by our very own taxes. Everything's fine, everything's good, right? That's what the unions do. And here's how it works, right? Imagine, for instance, you are trying to produce a product. Let's imagine a legacy car manufacturer, right? Many of the components that make up a car that a lot of people drive are made in other places, often by other companies, not by the company itself. They kind of have alliances, and you have one company that makes parts for many other car companies at the same time. You'll find Fiat parts inside of Ferrari sometimes, even, especially old ones. It's just kind of funny. Nobody really thinks about it. Like, you have the car companies, they intermingle a lot. It's almost like they have this interesting web, and the suppliers are very... Yeah, it's sort of difficult to explain. But anyways, so let's imagine you have a union, right? Let's imagine the union protests because we don't get enough money. And the reason why we don't get enough money is because nobody's buying these products anymore. Let's say, for instance, the sale of cars goes down. Then that means less cars are being made because you can't make more, because if you have inventory that you're not selling, you're getting fucked. Now, as a result of this, less stuff is being bought from the supplier who supplies the parts. Now, the supplier has themselves an economic crisis. They need to start laying people off. Now the unions step in and say, nope, we're not doing that. Cause a strike, which then causes people to not manufacture these parts anymore, and then the cars that are supposed to be built can't be built because these parts are not there, because they're not being manufactured, because somebody has a strike. Meanwhile, ununionized companies like Tesla keep producing. So while your legacy shuts down, doesn't do anything, either because they themselves are under the subject of a strike, or some of their suppliers are under the subject of a strike, Tesla keeps producing. And the unionists can't stand that, because they can't do anything about it. They can't do anything about Tesla. That's why they keep ostracizing Tesla as much as possible. That's why when there was an EV summit, they excluded Tesla, who's the leader for EV manufacturing in this world, basically. They excluded this manufacturer, the manufacturer that basically sets the trend for EVs going forward and accelerated the production. They excluded them, but they did include GM. And then you had fucking Biden standing there, Mary Barra, I think was her name, saying that she leads the revolution. It's like, yeah, we did it, Mary! You did it! I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Remember there was a time where they didn't even mention the word Tesla for years?
Yeah.
And they kept trying to find ways of excluding Tesla from the EV tax credit.
Kind of funny.
Basically, unionization is basically a wrapper for going bankrupt very slowly.
Yeah. Plus, it can protect underperforming workers from being dismissed when they actually should be. So that would be lower productivity. Yeah.
Unionization is basically the government getting involved in private companies.
Which is ironic, because if you look at a lot of the legacy car manufacturers, they've gone bankrupt multiple times. They had to bail them out. And what money is being used to bail them out? It's a long, hard fucking guess. Where is that money coming from? All of you guys, all of y'all, the hard-working people of whichever country this manufacturer is in, your taxes, everyone's taxes.
I once actually watched someone make an argument, and they figured out a bunch of the math, and they actually said that it would actually be cheaper to produce everything in the United States than it would be to China if the government just took the money that it gives in poverty assistance and just gave it to the companies instead. Private company. It would literally cost taxpayers less money, and it would make everything made in the U.S. instead of China. But he said that it would never politically work, because imagine telling people, I'm going to give all this money to these fucking companies instead of giving it to the people directly.
Exactly. And also kind of
stupidity. Because of the stupidity of the general public, you basically have to make worse political decisions. Because the general public is too stupid to see the long-term consequences of it.
You can thank legacy media for that, because you have the largest megaphone that has ever been created. If you choose to disseminate bullshit via that megaphone, then bullshit shall be in these people's heads. So, ironically enough, it's not even necessarily their fault that they're full of shit, because the shit that's there is not of their own making. However, you could say, hey, you should be critical and question a lot of things. But I mean, do you seriously think that the average 9-to-5 worker is going to want to question anything? They're happy to be home at the end of the day. They're happy to do something and actually use whatever little time they still have left in the day for something that makes them happy, so that they don't go insane. So you can't even fucking put that on them. So it's a bit of a... whoever is disseminating these lies, there's a lot of shit that's coming, because that's fucked up. That is really fucked up. You can choose to educate the public, not deceive them. Educate them in a way that is productive, not destructive. Because you can say education in general, you can put it under an umbrella. You can have education for the sake of amplifying a person's abilities or stifling their abilities. And you can say, oh, you know, you have reasons behind that and you have ethical concerns. There are literally people out there who say, oh, we should actually keep a population at a certain level of dumbness so that they're easier to control because they're not able to use their sentience for anything productive unless we do that. This is an actual ethical motivation. So to many of the people that would be disseminating bullshit, they see themselves as doing good, as a matter of fact. And from their perspective, you could actually agree with them. Not everybody is capable of listening to the truth. And I think actually the majority of all humans on this planet, I don't think they can actually take truth. I mean, let's take an example. You ever heard of parents that didn't flip out at the fact that somebody told them the truth? How many times did you even get angry? How many times have any one of us gotten angry at a truth? Only to then, you know, kind of hold yourself back and say, you know what, actually, this person's making a point. So imagine there's actually an ethical motivation that makes sense to keep people somewhat stifled. I'm not saying that I would do this. I'm kind of in the favor of a little bit more chaos and, you know, managing a world in which truth actually proliferates beyond even, I feel as though if there's enough pressure of truth, you're more so forced to accept the truth as opposed to denying it, because people would look at you and be like, why are you angry about this? This is the truth. What the fuck's wrong with you? Right? So it would be enforced this way. I think at some point there was just a loss, as in you kind of lost a path towards that, towards a future of enlightenment. But I think we're kind of back on the path at some point because people are angry. And anger is a great motivator. You have fear, anger, and happiness. With those three things, you can control everything that a human does. I mean, absolutely fucking everything. There's nothing that you can make a mind do. Like, there's no limitation. There's absolutely none. If you don't believe me, just look around you. You can see it everywhere. Meanwhile, I'm gonna cook some steak. Let's go.
Nice.
I saw a really funny post today.
What's that?
It's the one I sent you about Russia.
Hold up. Let me see.
Remember I sent that to you? Did you read that?
Which one? You sent me a lot of stuff.
Alright, let me send it to you again.
Oh, that's, yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
We even had I think we even had a discussion about this on Spaces where we were basically saying, what are the sanctions actually doing? You know, when we were talking about, I think didn't Trump say something about taking the sanctions and putting them on Ukraine if they didn't obey? Wasn't there something like that?
No.
Who said that?
No, I said that to you.
Oh, you said that to me, sorry.
I said, and because Zelensky was basically saying that we're an independent country, so we're not going to listen to Trump. And I said, in that case, Trump could do something like tell Zelensky, if you do that, we're going to remove all the sanctions on Russia and we're going to place it on Ukraine, and we're not going to give you any more support. And I said that would make them come to the negotiating table real quick.
Absolutely.
Let's see what else. We got the FCC has granted Starlink a U.S. commercial license to provide coverage from space. So that's pretty good. Like, could enhance all forms of wireless broadband access for those areas, rural areas and stuff like that. It's also would be good because it allows them to partner with mobile networks to eliminate dead zones. So there's a lot of positive things there. It could enhance emergency services as well. So yeah, overall really good stuff.
PoE 2 early access release is coming.
Oh, early access.
I'm
It's
gonna
9 days.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to see.
Don't worry, I will show you because I bought the early access. I just don't know how to fucking use it. I have like the early access keys. I have no idea what it is. I just bought it and I have it now. So I guess. So yeah.
All right. Do you want me to help you figure it out?
I suppose. I mean, it just says that the keys are there, and then that's that. So there's no place where I can actually put them in somewhere and then get access. So I suppose I'd have to still wait.
There probably is. There probably is.
All right, we'll look at it later.
Where did you buy it on the website?
Yeah, I bought it directly from PoE too.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I have to do that then.
Because the major packs, they're only available on the website. On Steam, you only get like 3 packs.
Okay. So we're just gonna use a separate launcher then instead of doing it on Steam.
Not entirely. You could get the launcher, I suppose, but you also do it.
What's the game called again?
Path of Exile.
Oh yeah, Path of
Exile.
Path of Exile 2.
I'm looking at the platforms here. It says Steam, Epic Games, PS5, Xbox Series X. So I guess there is no standalone launcher this time? Well, I thought there would be, but...
Early access.
Yeah.
Get access now.
Guess we'll just do
Should I
Steam
make an
then,
account?
Yeah, if you have Steam, just log in via Steam and that creates an account.
Oh, okay.
Have I added you on Steam yet? Yeah.
Really? No, I don't think so.
Done.
Alright, send me your Steam user, or send me the Steam numbers.
I'll have to get on my computer for that one.
The friend code, whatever the fuck it is.
Friend code, whatever it is, that's fine. But yeah, I can't wait for that to come out in a couple days. I'll play it live so people can see what it's like so that they don't have to buy the early access.
Yeah.
When does the full...
It's going to be confusing at first, but...
Yeah, when does the full game release?
I don't know if they have made an official launch day for it.
Yeah.
Probably just going to take some feedback from the early access stuff.
I saw some of the boss fights, they're incredible.
Yeah, that's one thing that Path of Exile did right compared to Diablo 4. The boss fights are much more interesting. There's better mechanics, less stupid bullshit like the vulnerability stuff, and it's just overall more fun.
How do I add people on this fucking...
Give me your friend code, or whatever the fuck it is. Friends. Add friend. Do I have you on Steam, Blaze?
I don't think so, but if you DM me your code or something, I can add you.
Alright.
I DM'd it to you on Discord.
Alright, where's Blaze? There we go.
Cool.
It's a nice code. There's a lot of repeating numbers.
Alright, I sent you an invite.
You made a record.
You're only a level 3.
Oh.
You're only a level
I don't know how any of that works.
I am a level
How?
22.
How do you level up on Steam?
I don't know, I just have 644.
Yeah, that explains it. Yeah, I'm not a very... I don't have that many games. Let me actually take a look at my games.
I haven't played 99% of it. Whenever a Steam summer sale happens, my brain just goes monkey mode, and it's like buy.
Yeah, in total I have 26 games. I'm a simple person. I don't like spreading my shit out. And most of the only other 22 games that I have are all source games. They're like from there was a pack where you could buy every fucking source game for just a little bit of money. I was like, dude, I'm fucking taking that. So I have every single version of Half-Life, every single version of Counter-Strike, TF2, fucking Portal, everything. I got the whole fucking thing.
Nice, dude.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if that's also me.
I have like 61.
Yeah, you might have that. So I got all source games.
I probably do. I probably do too. Anything on GOG right now? New releases, let's say. No. Nothing interesting right now.
Makes sense.
If a game is available on GOG, I buy it for there first. If not, then I buy it on Steam.
Is the no DRM thing?
Yes.
Well, that's gonna be.
I think
the expansion, isn't it? The expansion, dude.
I think one day I sat down and like I put my Steam account in a calculator for like how much your Steam account was worth, and with the games on it, it was like worth like $10,000 or something.
Holy crap.
Monkey.
Oh, you said you spent $10,000 on Steam games?
No. I said my account was worth $10,000.
Okay, how does that work?
Steam summer sales.
Oh, so you got some games that were worth like $800 for like $40.
I don't think there's any games worth $800.
That'd be funny.
But yes, I do have like $6 billion on GTA, which I picked up.
So did I. Some hacker like dropped it on the ground, and I was like, "Hey,
yeah."
money.
Some hacker dropped it on the ground, and I just picked it up. So I have like $6 billion.
It's hilarious.
When you look at my Rockstar profile, it's like total amount earned. It's like $100,000. Total amount spent, it's like $68.7 million. And then someone told me the IRS might need to look at that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I put mine all in apartments and garages.
How did you do that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hide this.
Yeah. Yeah, I got like, and they still haven't banned me, which is amazing.
Same.
And I got like $6 billion, I got houses, I got cars, I got a shit ton of things on GTA Online.
How much stuff can you actually buy in that game?
So much.
Not
it's
much
crazy.
anymore. Not much
Well,
anymore.
yeah, you can buy like tons of different apartments, tons of different cars. Like it's quite a lot.
Yeah, but they've had hyperinflation.
Oh, that's it.
Because it used to be that $1 million could get you a shit ton in the game. Now $1 million won't get you shit.
That's funny. Parallels with reality.
Yeah.
This isn't.
Last time I played GTA was, I think, on PS4. Has it evolved a whole lot since then?
Yeah. I think it was
I don't know.
first launched. Was it launched on PS4 or PS3? I think it was launched on PS3. It's such a long time ago. Yeah.
PS3. Yeah, it was first launched on PS3.
Can't believe it could actually run on that old system. But yeah, the engine's pretty versatile.
One thing I don't like about these types of games is there's not much you can automate within them. You know what I mean? Like there's some games that I've played where basically you'd have NPCs that you could command to do certain things, and then they would operate and do their thing passively for you. So you're actually kind of in control of it, but you're just the person that sets it in the process. Like imagine, for instance, you hire a taxi driver and you say, okay, I'm going to buy fucking 15 cars and y'all going to just integrate yourselves there, picking people up. No one's going to stop you. And if somebody does, I'm going to blow them up. You know, something like that in GTA would be very nice.
Have you ever played Cookie Clicker?
No.
You haven't?
No, I have no idea what the fuck that is.
You don't know what Cookie Clicker is?
Nope.
Lies, you must know what Cookie Clicker is.
I've heard of it, I just never played it.
Oh my god. Elliot, do you know what Cookie Clicker is?
Yeah, I've hacked that game every time I played it.
Yes, exactly.
What is the point of it?
Basically, console, you go game.cookies equals 1, and then you put 100 zeros at the end and you win.
Yeah. Anyway, Cookie Clicker was this game that was really popular when I was growing up. Basically, you would click, and you would get a cookie, and then you would click again, and then you would get another cookie, and then you would just click, and then once you got enough cookies, you could buy like a cookie farm, and then you could just buy like a grandma to cook more cookies for you, and then it was just, you would constantly have numbers go up.
And eventually you get a
numbers
cookie
go up
prism,
again.
which just like makes a beam of cookies at the speed of light, and you get all these like crazy farms and shit, and eventually it just like it's unworldly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did something like that in a game once, except that it's like more realistic in that you had like a bunch of spaceships and such that you could basically command to do certain stuff. And the way I started was actually in a fighter, so that I could just beat a bunch of pirates and salvage their scrap so I can keep repairing shit, because I needed that so I can keep salvaging ships that were abandoned. Because you can kind of tow ships by not towing them. Like I figured out in the game that you could kind of push ships around. So I'd take my fighter and just ram into it and just push it for kilometers, hundreds of kilometers, until eventually, I reached a certain destination next to like a space station, so I could go in and repair the ship itself, because I can't just go in and do that in dead space. It's not going to work. So I actually did that with hundreds and hundreds of ships, and then I set them, like depending on the ship that it was, I would set them to do various things. I would sometimes sell them for like other ships, and what I would do is that actually I created a mining command center. I couldn't buy it, like I didn't want to pay any money on the game, so I couldn't buy any capital stations, because if I did, I would have actually bought those capital stations and just built endlessly a lot more stuff. So I just decided, okay, so I can't make capitals. So what if I just became the economy that makes a capital a capital? So I basically exceeded the mass of the known universe of things in that game. I basically became the control. It was bad, to the point that my phone started lagging. That's so much shit that I did. And I would constantly see numbers go up, because every single time I'd see a ship somewhere, I would just basically buy a new ship and send it out there. You'd have courier services, delivery services, mining services, defense, all kinds of weird shit. And so I'd put so much that I could see the numbers just go up constantly. It was so funny.
Oh wow.
As a matter of fact, I got so bored that I kept destroying all the pirates, because you didn't have pirates in the game, right? They would constantly set up stations. And so I got really bored one day, and I said, okay, so we have control of the economy. Let's go destroy the pirates, like completely eliminate them, like purify the game of all pirates. There would be no piracy in the entire game. So I just roam around, and what you can do is actually you can go into a ship, you can teleport into a ship, take command of it, right? And you can set that ship to defend another ship. So what I would do is I would run around in like a super speedy fighter, have a bunch of massive ships set to defend that little fighter, and then I'd just roam around with a small personal fleet destroying bases for no reason. It's just pirates. It's red and it's enemy, so I monkey go boo boo ooh, go break. So I did that. I keep getting the salvage. And I would pick up so much fucking salvage that you couldn't take it with you anymore. So I said, why am I even doing this? I'm just going to abandon it there. And wherever I kill like an enemy base, I would put some turrets. It's like, not even, like, wherever there's a base, I put turrets, so that if there's an attack, it will always defend. So I constantly bought the most advanced turrets and I put them around every single infrastructure in the game. So no infrastructure in that game had any problems because it would just not be a place where you could get attacked. Even in portals as well. So there's like different wormholes and shit, like wormholes in places. And what you could do is sometimes pirates come through those wormholes and start shit. So I said, I'm going to surround the wormhole with a lot of guns. Like a lot of guns. So I basically created a small circle of guns around the wormhole. I placed them such that none of the trade routes would be affected, because you have to like travel through it and I don't want to fuck with the NPCs. So I just basically built a small circle of weapons around every single wormhole in the game. So so the bases, every infrastructure that existed was defended. Every wormhole was defended from both sides. So you couldn't even get in the wormhole if you're an enemy. And you couldn't even if you got in somehow, if you got out the other end, you'd also die. There was zero chance that anyone could travel anywhere if they were my enemy. It was actually funny because one day there was a glitch in the game. And somehow one of my turrets was defending against a singular pirate ship. And one of my turrets accidentally shot the capital of one of my allies. And then a war broke out, which was very bad because the moment anything is marked as an enemy, my turret starts shooting on it. So you can imagine this is like an Order 66 thing, where basically every base now turned to be my enemy, and every single turret around every single base started shooting everything. It was so fucking bad. I had to spend trillions to undo that because every single time the enemy, like every single time there was an enemy state for one of the bases, I had to pay them off and be like, okay, just negotiate a truce so you can become an ally again. So we did it. Then the thing attacked again. I'm like, fuck, did it again. So I kept spam paying until I racked up like trillions, and then nobody attacked each other anymore. And I was like, we seifu for now.
Seifu.
Funds are seifu.
I had so much cash in that game, I didn't even know what that number was. Like I looked at it, I was like, I don't know what that is. I just know it's a lot.
I just know funds are seifu.
Yes.
Do you know that meme?
Yes, I do.
Funds are seifu.
Yeah.
It's because of finance.
Which supporter pack did you get, Adrian? Just the $30 one, or did you get the more expensive one?
I got the most expensive one.
Oh my god. Okay. It's so expensive.
Bro.
I'm gonna run around. I'm gonna look like Space Jesus. That's gonna happen.
Did you pay $100
Like $480 on.
Yes.
Wait, what?
Look. In my defense, Freckles spends that on a haircut. Okay?
It's true.
Okay.
I spend that on looking like Space Jesus in an RPG video game. And it's my advertising revenue. So that's not advertising, it's my X revenue. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. You probably spent that much on Diablo. Probably more than that on Diablo. Probably like 1,000.
Yeah, a lot.
How do you spend 1,000 on Diablo? I've spent like $150.
Skins, bro. Oh, again, like I said, there's an obsession with me and wanting to look like the most absurd thing. Like, you look at my character, right? It looks really absurd.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I deleted the game.
It's got a lot of glowy shit that comes out of it, you know, and I like it. Look, and besides, it's kind of funny that Blythe mentioned it a while back because, you know, Path of Exile, you have like a lot of microtransactions. You can look like whatever you want. I am not satisfied. I'm not satisfied in a video game until I look like a fucking lens flare.
Yep.
Okay? I am walking around and I'm going to be brighter than the sun in the fucking sky. Then I'm happy. The enemy's eyes will bleed before they even attack me.
You should post that.
I might get the $100 one.
I mean, dude, I look like one of those soldiers from the Imperium in Warhammer 40k with the 400. It looks kind of good. That's why I said, oh, fuck it. That's going to be a great game. And look, these guys, I already have a good feeling about them, right? That's one thing.
You said that to me about fucking.
Yes, I had a good feeling about it, and my feeling paid off in that basically it was a good purchase for the fact that it could do trillions of damage.
I
completed the game. I did the speed run. I did the whole fucking thing. I'm doing more damage now than 0.0001% of the game's population. I'm happy.
So you're telling me that you spent $1,000 on a skin that sets a region of pixels on your screen to 255s?
People buy it.
255.
People buy NFTs thinking that shit's real and thinking that they're gonna get generational wealth. I buy something because I think, hey, it looks cool. Maybe you'll actually make more of that shit in the future. And in the case of Path of Exile, even, I would feel even better about that purchase. You know why? Because that game studio actually looks really, really, really competent. Did you see the gameplay that they did with one of the bosses there? I think one of the employees, it must have been, actually played the game, and that shit looked really good. So I'm like, you're putting a lot of work in the game. It looks really good. These people are in New Zealand, of course, which makes me like them even more for some reason. I like people who come from there. They're really interesting. Australians and New Zealanders, I really, really like those people. They're really interesting. I know there is a lot of judgment around them, and I think that judgment is just basically racism, so fuck off. But realistically, that's really cool people there. I mean, hey, Mark, the guy from 2018 who introduced us to Max, they're fucking really interesting people. They all live in these really cool places. A lot of good stuff comes out of there. And I've had really good experiences with all those people, so I really like them. So I was like, hey, man, this gaming company comes from there, you guys play the game that you make, and fuck it, here's some funding.
Nice.
And if I am disappointed, I will complain about it at length on my live streams, which is also entertaining. So the way I see it, win-win. People are entertained by the fact that I'm destroying shit and laughing my ass off like a monkey. This is great. And people find it funny when I come up with these weird ways of roasting a game that I bought. So either way, I win. Gets content, it's fun, it's great. It's as it should be. Also, didn't I tell you that I was gonna beat the game?
Oh, yeah.
Which one?
So we did it. No, Diablo, we finished it. It's finished.
You beat the game. What does beat the
Up to
game?
300. Yeah.
We got the level 300 Paragon. We did all kinds of weird shit that is otherwise
150
impossible to achieve. Yeah?
Yeah, 150 pit completion, yeah.
Yeah, we got it. We got the best achievements in the entire game.
Indeed.
Damn.
Oh, you get multiple early access keys with that $480 bundle. I think you get like 4 early access keys, so you can give a couple out, maybe.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Alright.
I think I'm gonna get the Vol supporter one, 3rd one, or the 4th one.
I mean, it looks cool. And the company, I've never heard anything bad from them, so...
Yep.
And the people who've played it...
Yeah, I've played a lot of that game, so... And Mikey has too, he can vouch as well. It's great.
You are talking about Path of Exile too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I only see a $30 one, a $60 one, and a $100 one. Where are you seeing like a $40?
That's on Steam. If you go and you log into the actual website, yeah, you can see all of them.
Oh, on their page. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, 160, 240, and then 480 is the most expensive one.
Crazy.
You get physical items in the mail too if you order some of them. I think it's like a T-shirt or a book or a hoodie or something.
ASML, relatively obscure Dutch company.
Oh yeah. Whenever I hear someone, like whenever someone says, "Did you guys know about the?" Yes, I knew. Yes. Like, I'm like, my mind's just like, is this not public knowledge?
It's not. Let me tell you something. Let me ask.
Like, I saw this woman be like, "Did you guys know there's like fiber optic cables in the fucking ocean?" I'm like, yes.
Wait, what?
It's fucking public knowledge. And then they're like, "I don't believe you. I don't believe you."
Oh, it's so funny. Dude, the flat earthers are losing their minds over that. It's the most funniest fucking shit. They say, if we have satellites in space, then why do we have transmission towers? Well, because we do have satellites in space. They're just not as good for internet, but they are now, which is why we're using Starlink. It is just that you have because we have so much data flowing around the Earth, we need to somehow transfer it. So what we do is we have these gigantic cables that are under the sea, much like the pineapple from SpongeBob. And this is connected to a tower somewhere. It gets retransmitted into your cities, which allows you to actually hear this very fucking conversation, most likely, because the majority of people in here are definitely not on Starlink. So that is how that works. We do have satellites, otherwise we'd not be able to see the fucking Earth now, would we? Right? So a lot of the flat earthers don't fucking understand that concept.
Not to mention, there's like a limited bandwidth of wavelength.
Exactly.
Wavelength.
That's another problem. And it's there's also range issues as well, which even if you did get, like, yeah. It's a very complex discussion to be had. We can have that discussion at some point in the future. Actually, I'll do a little research so people understand how exactly all of that works. But to put it simple, it's wild. However, I have to say, let's imagine for a second. Like, this is not public knowledge because the public would not care, one. And even if they did, they'd fucking freak out. You know why?
Why would they freak out?
Imagine the NPC well and truly actually understood how crazy this is. That one company manufactures the most expensive machine that's used for like non-military purposes. There's only one fucking company that makes a machine. And that machine,
well, to be fair,
works.
That company is the only company on Earth because they've been given the monopoly by the US government, pretty much.
Doesn't change anything. Doesn't change anything about this argument. Let's imagine every NPC woke up the next day and figured out, yes, there is only one company on Earth that makes this one fucking machine. And this one fucking machine is the only machine that can make this one special type of chip that is needed for everything that is computers. Anything that's good computers, anyways. And that is manufactured in only one place on the planet. And it's in fucking Taiwan. Let's imagine every NPC woke up and understood this, really understood this, and understood exactly how fucking insane that is. All of a sudden, everyone would be scared shitless. You should be. So next time when you fucking beef with some people, you want to warmonger and stretch your military forces, then think about it. People don't understand the importance of that place. Be like, oh yeah, Taiwan, we gotta keep those people free. It's not about the fucking people, it's about the chips, man. The majority doesn't care about that. Sure, the people is an argument, and I'm not discounting the people, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to explain to you where exactly the relevance is. The relevance is in those chips. Hell, even the fucking phones you're using